comes from Clear Value Tax. I believe he is a CPA. I usually shit on other financial influencers because they're horrible. It's horrible. Listen, don't get your advice from YouTube unless they're a financial professional like moi. But Clear Value Tax, he knows a lot of what he's talking about. So much so that he talks like a person who knows a lot of the language from the some of the regular some of the regulatory authorities. Oh man, there's nobody in the chat right now. I'm going to do this again. All right. If somebody's watching, I should kind of check my Twitch stream to see if there's anybody here. But Clear Value Tax. He talks like he's very familiar with the regulatory, for example, FINRA. He discloses a lot of things, but he's one of the good ones. If you haven't seen his channel before, I would recommend a subscribe. And let's check this one out. So this one is why your net worth will explode after 100K.
In today's video, I need to explain to you why net worth explodes after 100K. So let me show you the math first, and then I'll show you what you need to do. So let's start with this demonstration. So
a couple predictions. If you saved 100K, then obviously you're serious about investing, right? And we're talking about liquid, not what's tied into your home, right, or your primary residence. The second thing, my prediction is he's going to talk just about compound interest, which probably what's going to happen, because it's always fun to watch what happens with compound interest.
If I give you a choice, I'll give you two offers, and then you tell me which one that you would rather take. Offer number one, I will give you $1 million right now. And offer number two, I will give you a penny right now. And every day for 30 days, I will double your money. So which offer?
So obviously you're going to want the penny because it's going to be the exponential thing, right?
Would you take? Offer number one provides you with $1 million, and here's what offer number two provides you with. So on the first day, you start off with a penny, and on the second day, you have 2 cents. Day 3, 4 cents. Day 4, day 5, 6, 7.
And I'll give you another interesting fact I learned in college when I was trying to get my degree in finance, is that if a child invested $1 at 12% gain year over year, by the time he's 80, he would have $1 million from that dollar. That's pretty amazing, right?
8, 9, 10. So your first 10 days are very boring, and then it speeds up. So take a look at day 11, day 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And these last 10 days, it gets very exciting. On day 21, you're at $10,486. Day 22, day 23, day 24, 25, 26, 27, day 28, you're over $1 million. Day 29 and day 30. If you chose option number 2, you would end up with over $5 million. That is the power of compounding. Now, please pay attention to this part because you will get it. Why your net worth explodes after 100K. So look at how slow the progress was the first few days. Day 1, you have 1 penny. Day 2, 2 cents. Day 3, 4 cents, etc. After 10 days, you have about $5. That's nothing. But then the growth starts to meaningfully accelerate. So look at the next 10 days, starting off with day 11. And then it's really the next 10 days where the money just explodes higher. I mean, look at these amounts. Look at the growth rate. It gets very wild. Now, in this analogy, getting your net worth to 100K is like getting to day 20. The first part of your journey is slow and boring, and it's a grind. But then after that, it starts to really skyrocket. That's because your money is making you money, and because with a larger quantity of money, you will make more money. So this is why it's so easy for rich people to stay rich, and this is why it's so important for you to get your net worth to 100K as quickly as possible. So that demonstration showed you the power of compounding. Now I want to show you compounding in action when it comes to your net worth. I will show you the math so that you can witness the numbers for yourself and you'll understand why this is so important. And we'll use round numbers to make things easier. So let's say you're able to save $10,000.
And listen, there's a few ways to do this, right? You're gonna have to have some income, right? But if you're investing, you want to do dollar cost averaging, and that will get you to that 100K quicker. And if I mentioned the primary residence earlier, but if you are putting money down on a house, you definitely want to use the smallest amount of down payment you possibly can, right? Because now you have an investment that traditionally will grow about, it depends on where you're at. I think it's like around 4% in my location, even though it's been a rough year, y'all. But about 4%. But I'm using someone else's money to grow that 4%. Yes, I pay interest on it, but as you see in this video, as things compound, that investment will be worth more than the interest I pay on it, right?
Each year to invest. And let's say that you're able to get a rate of return of 10% a year. So in your first year, you save up $10,000 and you invest it on, let's just say December 31st. So you end the year with 10K. In year 2, that 10K will make you $1,000. And you save an additional $10,000 for that year. So you end the year with $21,000. So in year 3, you now have more money making you money. And you save another 10K and you end the year with $33,100. So the cycle continues and you get this snowball effect. In year 4, $46,410. Year 5, 6, 7, and so on. Now, getting to your first $100,000 will take you 8 years. Getting to your next $100,000 will take you 4 years. Your next $100,000 will take you 3 years. So what's going on here? Again, it speeds up. The process of making more money becomes easier because your money is making you money, and it's a vicious cycle in a good way. So once you get here, year 24 to 25, your net worth will increase by $100,000 in 1 year. Once you get...
And if you guys want to play with this, there's a great site called NerdWallet. NerdWallet is, I've noticed all the financial professionals, they go to, if they're looking for their quick one, it's not on their IA or brokerage platform. NerdWallet is great because there's a lot of other simple numbers, simple to understand, and a lot of stuff you can kind of bake in to what you're trying to find of your future value.
Here, year 25 to 26, your net worth will increase by $100,000 in less than 1 year. So that's the power of compounding. Okay, so what's the lesson here? Well, I would say there are a lot of lessons here. It's easier to make money when you have money. Rich people have an unfair advantage. Compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. So yes, those are all correct answers. However, the lesson that is most important for you is that you need to get your net worth to $100,000 as quickly as possible so that your net worth can explode higher. So the longer that you drag getting there, then you are delaying your wealth explosion. If you never get there, then you will never experience this wealth explosion. But what's the problem? Let's keep it real. The problem is, how are you supposed to get $100,000? So listen, you're not going to magically come up with $100,000 in 1 year. At least most people will not. It's going to take you years. But remember that getting your first 100K will be your hardest 100K. And here's a truth that you must realize. The majority of your first 100K will come from money that you work for and saved up.
Earned income.
So looking back to our previous example, look at the math. For your first 100K of net worth, about 72,000 of that came from you working and saving that up. Now, with that being said, I must tell you this. If your net worth is less than $100,000, that is why it's so important to save every dollar that you can. Because the quicker that you can get to 100K, the sooner you will see your net worth.
And that, unfortunately, is a difference between people that make it in life and don't. It's not just rich people and poor people. Look, a lot of people like to look rich. I had a C7 Corvette when C7 Corvettes were new, and I also had my brokerage account at the same time. Let me tell you something. I loved looking at that brokerage account, and it grow way more than I like seeing that car in the garage, right? Now, I love that car. Now, don't get me wrong. I still love that car, right? But I promised myself if I was to get another sports car, and it's a difficult promise because, I want to look at the C9. I like Corvettes. That I would get a car this time that would appreciate in value. And if you get something that's like 30 years old, cars around that time period, they start appreciating in value more than obviously a new car that loses value, right? So I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole with this. Even with that car that I got because of the COVID hit, and then there was a shortage on vehicles. I calculated with insurance that I only paid about $231 a month with that car, and that was like a new Corvette. So I kind of got lucky at the same time, but next time around, I'm definitely, if I'm going to get a car that, not an A to B car, but something that you take out with your sweetheart on Friday, it's going to be a classic vehicle because that asset will grow as well.
Start to skyrocket. So you already know what you need to do. You need to live within your means. You need to spend less than you make.
Get
so
that
it's just a
Toyota,
matter
baby.
of you having the discipline to execute. And you also already know this. This is just a reminder.
And if you find yourself struggling with that discipline, there's a great book. It's not boring for you to read. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. I've recommended it to clients before. And it will, if you're having a hard time getting there, or you're like, I could have, or you're getting this kind of anxiety of why I'm not investing or something like that, read that book, man. It's a rich person's mentality book, and it's a fictional book, but it will help you tremendously. It will get you there.
You will need to make sacrifices to save up your first 100K. So will making sacrifices be fun and pleasurable? So no, of course not. But it will be short-term pain for long-term gain. So Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's right-hand man, said, and I quote, "The first 100K is a bitch, but you got to do it. I don't care what you have to do. Find a way to get your hands on 100,000. And I must tell you this because so many people overlook this. At the end of the day, you're trying to spend less than you make, right? So that you have money left over to save and invest. And most people overly focus on cutting back their spending. So yes, that's important, but so many people neglect the income part of the equation. You must also seek to increase your income because there are only so many expenses that you can cut. especially these days with the cost of living being so outrageously high because of inflation. So many people are only spending on essentials, and still there's nothing left over at the end of the day to save and invest. So there's nothing left to cut, is what I'm saying. So don't neglect growing your income. So I have a lot of videos and content on that topic. And my last piece of advice that I want to share with you is to start investing early, even if you have little money.
And I'll say this is that you know, being an accountant, he probably knows the best little side hustles too. So if he has a video like that, I recommend checking it out if you're trying to look for extra income.
You have witnessed how the early stages of investing and growth are slow and boring, right? But that's just the way it is. The sooner you get started, the quicker you'll get through that boring phase, and the sooner you'll get to that explosive growth. So do it in a retirement account, do it in a stock market account, a brokerage account. Just get started. The earlier, the better. So this is how people get rich. Trust the math, trust the process. Now, if you want my opinion on what I would do if I'm trying to get my net worth to 100K, I'll give you my strategy. This is what I would do. So I would take a two-pronged approach. So number one, I would invest money in the stock market. So I would look for every advantage that I could get. So I would do so in a retirement account. If your employer offers you a match on your 401k.
Okay, so what he's about to say is he's about to talk about matching 401ks. Max it out. I don't care if you can't touch it till you're 59 and a half. Max it out. It's free money. Why wouldn't you want free money, right? And it's there's a study, especially if you're young. There was a study. A young person can't identify with their older self, right? So, and I've said this to clients before. There's these filters now. Put a filter on yourself, right? Put a filter on yourself. Make yourself look old. Put that picture on the wall and say, I love and I'm going to take care of this person, right? It seems like forever away when you're in your 20s. It creeps up on you fast, man. You always see those old people say life is short. It's short, right? But so is your investing period. And it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. So you want to get in as soon as possible, right?
Or 403B or whatever plan, take advantage.
403B is government worker or nonprofit.
Take advantage of the tax benefits of tax-free growth as well. And I like the Roth IRA very much. So I've been very clear about that in my previous videos.
And in Roth IRAs, especially if you're self-employed, are really good. Roths are after-tax dollars. And when you take distributions from there, they're tax-free distributions.
I would invest my money in index funds, ETFs, some mutual funds. So I would keep it simple. I would keep control.
And here's one thing too. And I have to be very careful saying this, right? Because in my industry, and I'm regulated by saying this, there has to be some suitability standards, right? So if I give advice for one person, it might not be suitable for another. So I would take what's called a DRUMS test, which is a risk assessment test, right? And see how much you're going to panic if the stock, so for example, if you have a 2008, right? Or a 2020, how much you're going to panic if you see all your savings go down by 30% or so, if it's going to terrify you. After a while, if you watch your investments, you just kind of like, okay, it goes up and goes down. So for example, the S&P after historically speaking, after 8 months, it will recover from whatever correction or issue it's had. Historically speaking, right? But when you're in that moment, it doesn't feel like that. You start panicking. So some people, unfortunately, and I've seen this. Not only have I seen it, I've seen it happen before. Just to put it in short, they'll pull their money out because like, oh my God, I've lost enough, and it's the worst thing you can do. Because historically speaking, a person who changes their investment strategy, especially when they're emotionally tied to things like that, at the end of their investment career or investment journey, I should say, they have half as much as the person that just stuck with it and didn't look at it. So if you're planning to do this on your own, you have to keep those things in mind.
Contributing money each paycheck and just set it and forget it. And number two, the other thing that I would do is save money for a down payment to buy a home. So this is under assumption that you found an area that you want to settle down in.
5%.
So basically, you will use the leverage and inflation to your advantage. So let me give you an example. Let's say that you can save $40,000 to place a down payment on a $400,000 home. So listen, I know that you're going to pay PMI if you can't put down 20%, but not everyone has that luxury.
Don't do it.
So if you
Don't do it.
Good for you.
Pay the mortgage
Now
insurance.
with $40,000, you have an asset that's worth $400K. If home prices inflate by 10%, then your home just went up in value by $40,000.
The reason why I say don't do it, why you want to put in as little as it goes up 10%, so it would have gone up 10% too if you had a 5% loan, right? The problem is so you have to pay mortgage insurance, but the problem is you'd pay your amount of money that you would make, let's say investing in the let's use S&P as an example again. S&P is going to be more than you would pay on that interest, right? So you got to calculate these things in and see what kind of works best for you.
$1,000 from $400K to $440. Now, as you're saving money for a down payment, I would put my money in a high-yielding savings account. So currently, at the time of making this video, it's easy to get a savings account that pays 4% to 5% interest. And I would make sure that my money that I'm saving is in a reputable financial institution.
Okay, so in my industry, we don't say that. We say if you have a certain time frame, T-bills, cash or cash equivalent, right? Saving accounts are nice just because they're FDI insured, but listen, it's insured by the government. So if the government can't pay their T-bills, then they're not gonna back up the banks, right? So that's if you have a time horizon, y'all. If you don't have a time horizon, try to find something that yields more than 4 or 5%, right? But here's the thing too, is let's say I'll use the S&P example again. You're humming along, you put money in the S&P. You're humming along, right? The interest rates you're waiting for them to go down. Well, something happens in the stock market, right? And because something happens in the stock market, interest rates, the Fed cuts rates, and now you can actually afford that house you want. Well, the problem is that your stocks went down at the same time, so the principal amount you were saving for becomes less. So you gotta kind of look historically of what has happened during these periods of time, and to make the best decision for you. One thing you can do, I had this person wasn't a client, they were a friend of mine. They actually didn't take my advice, and they should have. But they wanted to buy. They were buying a property out of the country, and interest rates were high. And I suggested to them, I said, well, buy just some discount bonds, right? Buy some discount bonds, and what will happen, this would have been perfect for him, is that if the interest rates dropped, right, he would make money on that discount, because now if the interest rates drop, his interest rate comes closer to the market interest rate, so that discount becomes less. The bond goes closer to his what it would be if it was when it reaches its maturity or parity, and he didn't do that. He just bought the property, but that would have been a good strategy for him. So there's always, so my point in saying all this is there's always something that you can do. I would recommend getting a good investment advisor, and if they're not giving you kind of solutions or certain kind of options that you can do, go somewhere else.
So stay away from unreputable, shady banks like Yada Bank that decided to become an online casino. So yes, the one that Graham Stephan promoted. So that's my advice. Let me know what you think. So listen, I want to end with this message.
Okay, if you're not familiar with what he just did a dig on another financial influencer. And if you've ever seen him before, and I hope you made it to this part of the video because this is funny, the guy will start talking like this, and he's not a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. I think that you can easily make a mistake. He didn't know the bank that he was promoting wasn't FDIC insured. But if there's somebody trying to offer somebody, or they're trying to make money or sell a course or anything, don't listen to them on YouTube. Listen, Clear Value Tax has probably been the best guy I've seen as far as is someone to listen to. I'm going to come up with others, but man, oh man, will I come up with a lot not to listen to. But he's pretty good. Give him a like and subscribe if you've ever seen one of his videos.
I want to see you get wealthy. I want to see you get financially free. And no, it's not going to be easy. Yes, it's a very difficult process, but I'm rooting for you. Thank you so much, and I wish you a very nice day. Take care.